Hey guys, and welcome to another video in the No Hands SEO video tutorial series. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to get your profile set up so that you can generate the best type of backlinks for your websites and web pages and really get the best benefit in the search engines because of that. Also, when you get them added in, ideally the first time, you don't need to worry about messing around with changing different settings later on down the line. Okay, now this video is probably a little overdue. There have been videos in the past where I've shown you how to add a profile using these quick add profile controls. Now there's nothing wrong with using those, but there is now the add profile wizard which will allow you to change a lot more settings the first time rather than changing the values in the profile handler at a later date. So we're going to start off by clicking on the add profile wizard button up here on the toolbar. So we'll click on that and I'll just bring that down here. You'll see that there is quite a few controls, and you've got the different tabs up here which allow for a lot more controls. Now most of these are optional. For instance, the link settings and the comments, they are all optional, but I'll be going into those and showing you what they do, how to use them, and how to get the best effect from them. Okay, so when you start off by clicking on the add profile wizard, you'll get this window here. Now before adding your profile, you want to decide whether it's the entire website that you are entering that you want to promote, or if it's just select pages or a single page of a website. Now the difference is, if you enter in the whole website, No Hands SEO will crawl the website to find inner pages and promote those as well, because that will help improve your rankings for many different keywords. So it's a really good idea if you're wanting to promote your money site, for instance, say you have an e-commerce site or a blog, for example, you'd want to select promote whole website because you want to promote the entire website, not just a single page. If you're wanting to promote, for instance, a YouTube video or a Facebook page or something like that, you'd want to click promote page. Now what that does is it will stop No Hands from indexing that website. It will stop it from crawling. Now in the past I have seen quite a few times people have left it as a website profile and then entered in a YouTube page or a Facebook page, and then No Hands has just gone off and crawled tens of thousands of pages of these domains which obviously it doesn't really hurt much, but then you're not going to be promoting your page nearly as much because No Hands is going to be promoting all these others. So it's really important that if you want to promote the whole website, you select whole website, but if you only want to promote the pages that you have entered, choose promote page. Okay, in this example I'm going to be using nohandsseo.com because obviously if you're watching this video you're probably aware of the website. So I'm going to be using that as an example for this video. Now the search keywords. This is, before I go on, there is a page crawl limit that you can set. Say for example you only want to promote 10 pages of your website, you can select that in here. You just simply enter in 10. If you want No Hands to find every visible page on the website, you would leave it set as -1. Okay, and I'm going to leave it as -1 because I do think that there's a lot to be said for having every page of your website containing backlinks, because then as they all sort of interlink, they'll be sort of pooling all of the links from all the different pages and really improving the ranking benefit to all of your inner pages. Okay, so for search keywords, this is what No Hands will be using to search to find targets. Okay, this is not what you want to rank for. They can be relevant to your niche if you want to generate more relevant backlinks. They don't have to be. You can use quite sorry you can use quite generic keywords such as, you know, cat, beach, sea, sky, grass, window. You know, you can use whatever you want in here. Now there are benefits to having obviously niche relevant keywords in that you're the backlinks that you generate will be more relevant, so you're more likely to improve the rankings for your desired keywords if you have relevant keywords in there. But on the other side, when you're using generic keywords, you can often get a lot more targets, which will also mean that you'll generally get a lot more backlinks overall as well. Okay, so but for this example I'm going to be using relevant keywords. So No Hands SEO is targeting the SEO niche and the backlinks niche, so I'm going to enter in just some example keywords here. There's nothing wrong with having your desired anchor text in there. For instance, I may want to put No Hands SEO in there, and I'm going to for this example. Normally I wouldn't really, mainly because with very specific keywords like that, you're unlikely to get that many targets from them. So when No Hands is searching these keywords, it's going to be spending a lot of time searching and not returning many results. So generally I prefer to keep them really vague. Like for instance with No Hands SEO, I'd have keywords such as SEO, backlink, backlinking, and things like that, mainly because they are relevant, but also they're quite vague, so they will be returning a lot of results. So you don't want to be putting laser targeted keywords in there, because all you're going to be doing is really limiting the amount of targets that No Hands can find, and therefore the amount of links that you'll be generating. So keep them really vague, but if you want them to be relevant, you still can. Okay. Now you can also add the search keywords from a file. If you have a file, just make sure that the keywords are either separated by line or comma. That's all. And also that they're in a .text file or .txt. When you can add via clipboard. So say for instance, if I'm going to copy and delete that, and you can see you can add it via clipboard. So if you have a list somewhere, you can either highlight it, copy it, and then click on clipboard, and it'll enter it in via the clipboard. Okay, so that's your search keywords, nice and easy, doesn't take long. Now we're going to move on to anchor text, which is slightly more complicated because you can use spinning text here, and it's a really good idea to use as much variation as possible for these. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with spinning, I will be doing another video later on, hopefully today, and get it uploaded so that you can really see a great example of how to do spinning for best effect basically. But ultimately you have a curly bracket to signify the start of a spinning section. So for instance, I'd have No Hands SEO because that's what I want to rank for, and that's what the anchor text is. It's the keyword that is used when you post the link, and that is what you want to be ranking for, or what you want to improve your ranking for. Okay, so I'd put in terms like No Hands SEO, and then I'd separate it with the vertical line character. Okay, in a UK keyboard it's above the backslash. I'm not sure what it is on European or American or other keyboard layouts, but it's the vertical line. It's not an L, it's not an I, it's not a 1, it's a vertical line separator. Okay, there is a big difference. Now, so you use that to separate out your different anchor text. So then I'd put in things like SEO tool, that's what I want to be ranking for, or backlinking tool. I'm just using these as an example. You may have a list, you may not. So with the anchor text, if you're unfamiliar with spinning, with the anchor text and the comments, this goes for all the controls in No Hands, not just in the Add Profile Wizard, but you can right click on them and then you get the option of Open Text Rewriter. So if you do that, it will take the text that you've entered in and put it into this really easy to use tool. Now what this tool does is whenever you're typing, it will respin the example text here, so you can see exactly what you're typing and the effect it has on the output example text. Okay, so if I was to carry on adding things, improve search ranking and so on, you'll see that as I was typing that, it was changing the example output text. Now when you're done with that, all you need to do then to have that imported into the into the Add Profile wizard is simply click Save, and you'll see that it has input search ranking. It's added it in there. Okay, so as with the search keywords, you can add anchor text from clipboard or from the file. So I'll show you that again. I'll copy that and delete the text, and then you can import via the clipboard. Okay, now it may occasionally do some things that look funny, like putting an extra set of parentheses or curly brackets around the text, but don't worry, that's perfectly valid. And you'll see the indicator here just to the right of the anchor text. You've got the tick with the green background. The tick shows that it's valid, and the cross shows that it's invalid. So if you're seeing the cross, you need to fix what's wrong with the text. Okay, so nice and easy. Now the page address or addresses. This is the addresses of the pages that you want to promote. Okay, should be self-explanatory. For my example, I would be using nohandsseo.com. Now if you wanted to make absolutely sure that you are promoting all your desired pages, you could enter them in manually. That's not a problem. You can do that, or you can add them via RSS feed or clipboard or file, just as you would with the search keywords and the anchor text. Okay, so say you wanted to add in with the RSS feed, you'd simply type in the address of the RSS feed, click import, and there we go, it's added in all of the pages from that particular RSS feed. Now you can do that for as many pages that you like. You can add in a list of hundreds of pages if you really wanted to. That won't stop No Hands from going through the list and trying to find new pages on your domain. But you know, there may be some instances where you prefer to have just a set number of pages, and then for instance you could set the page crawl limit to 0, and it wouldn't ever go looking for more pages. It would just accept that that's the page list, and you still get the indexing aspects of a website profile. Okay, but again for this example I'm going to leave that set to -1 because I'd still like for No Hands to go through all the different pages, for instance all the different blog posts, all the blog pages, the forum threads, and things like that. So it's a really good easy way to get every page promoted. Hey, you don't need to use these clipboard and file import options, but they're there if you want to use them. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the comments, because having your basic profile details correct is one part of the setup process really. The comments is the other main part of setting up your profile. Okay, the link settings I consider entirely optional, but if you're using No Hands to promote your money website, I find custom comments really are something that shouldn't be optional. You know, you really should add them. You don't have to add them if you really don't care. You can just run with them, but I find to add real relevancy and basically have very readable comments and things like that, it really does help to have custom comments written. So for example, if I was promoting No Hands SEO, I'd want to have things such as No Hands SEO is the best tool for automatically improving your search engine rankings. Okay, now as with the anchor text, the comments are spinnable, so you can change that to search rankings or search positions, position in Google, and so on. So as you can see, it will give that short bit of text there a random variation to it. So you can also change any other word in there. You can change to anything you want. Automatically bettering, doesn't have to be brilliant English because it's just an example. So we'll go with bettering for easily the easiest okay, if I was writing these without it being recorded, I'd probably take a lot more time and care about it, but I'm just showing you here. So change best to fastest. Even have it SEO. Tool, could be app, could be application, could be software, and maybe change No Hands SEO to NHSEO as well. Okay, so as you can see, just from that one short bit of text there, you can add a lot of variation into the comments. Now I realise it's quite short, you might want to make it a bit longer if you want, but that's really entirely up to you. Now every new line is treated as a new comment, so you'll see you could put if I want to get more traffic, I use No Hands SEO. So you'll see roughly 50% of the time it will give a spin of the first comment, and the other 50% of the time it will give me a spin of the second comment. Obviously I've not spun the second comment yet, but that's what you do. Now if I was promoting a money website, I'd aim for at least around 10 unique comments. They don't have to be too long, but unique comments that have relevancy to whatever website I'm promoting at the time, and I find that really gives an added bit of oomph to the search engine rankings. Now if I was promoting pages that link to my money site, I might be a bit more relaxed with that, and you know, I may not use custom comments, but if I'm promoting a money website, I definitely would, just because it adds that much more relevancy to the backlinks. Now as with the anchor text, you'll see there's an indicator up here of whether it's valid or not, and you'll also see the input text info box down here. If I put in an open curly bracket, it will say text is not valid, and then when I get rid of it, it will say valid text and give me some basic information about how many total characters it is and how long the current permutation is. Okay, now we've done that. Oh, before I go, I'll show you can insert certain tags. So say for instance, if you wanted to get rid of that, you could insert anchor text with the tag here, and what that will do is it will take the anchor text that is going to be used for the submission at the time, and it will actually insert it into the comment at that point. So for instance, you know, you could also add in the title of the target page. So you know, you can have a play around with all these different things, and what they essentially do is they allow you to add in different tags which might make your comment look a bit more natural. For instance, if you wanted to use a more generic comment, you could use the page title or the page URL or the domain, just to say, for example, I'm sure everybody's seen those comments on blogs where it say, wow, I stumbled across the target domain and the information is great. Things like that, you know, quite rubbish comments really, but that's how they could be done with things like that, you know, and you can use your imagination to sort of see how they can be best used. But for this example, I'm just going to use those two comments. Nice and simple, easy peasy. Now I'm going to go into the link settings. Now as I said before, these are entirely optional. You don't need to set them. Some of these can even be set in the settings globally if your requirements for links are the same across all of your profiles, then you can set generally you can set them in the settings, and you don't need to set them for every single profile, but you can do if, for instance, you have 10 profiles, 9 of which all have the same settings that you have set in the settings, whereas you want one to have different link quality requirements, for instance, then you can set that in here. Okay, so in your prevent posting settings, you can allow for the maximum amount of outbound links. So say you only want to post your link when a website has, say, 100 or less links. Oh, you just set 100 in there. Now, an outbound link is a link from one website to another. It does not count the links to pages within that website. Okay, so you could use that if you wanted. Now, really setting it to 100 might be a bit more limiting than some people would want, so you could set that at 1,000, or you could set it at 1,000 if you wanted, or you could just uncheck it, leave it as is, and then it will just use whatever settings you have set in the settings tabs. Now, the same goes for the minimum page rank. You can set it at 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10. Obviously, the higher that is, the less links you'll be getting, but it will obviously mean generally we'll be getting a higher quality of backlink. Personally, if I'm going to be limiting my links, I'd rather limit by the outbound links, purely because the number of outbound links I find is a greater indicator of the quality of the website. Now, it's great if a website has a higher page rank. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it can be a really good link to get, but there's nothing to say that a website with a page rank of 0 today is going to have a page rank of 0 in a month's time or a year's time. So if you can get the link, I say get the link. I prefer not to use the minimum page rank for many reasons, really, but that's it. I don't put much emphasis on page rank at all in my own personal profiles, but the option's there if you want to use it. Now, maximum links per day should be relatively self-explanatory. If you only want to generate, say, 50 or 100 links per profile per day, or for this profile at least, then you'd simply set that at 100. Okay, leaving it set at 0 will mean that No Hands won't limit the amount of links that can be generated for that profile per day. Okay, so like I say, very simple. If you wanted to limit the links for every day to 100, you can do. Right, the region specific searching, this means that No Hands will be requesting pages from the search engines for a specific region. So say, for instance, you're in Sweden, or say you're in the UK. Seems like I'm in the UK, it would make sense. We're going to choose English United Kingdom. That's if my website was specifically targeting the United Kingdom. Okay, by default it will use the US search engine. So if you are based in the US, there's no point in setting it to English United States, because that's the default for both Google and Yahoo anyway. But if you live anywhere else, you can choose any of the regions, and it will, No Hands will request pages from that region when it does the searching. Okay, I'm going to leave it as English United States because there's little difference between the listings between the United States and the UK anyway, just that the United States tends to be a bit more up to date, and you get more results for it anyway, so you get more links in the long run. Now, the domain specific searching, this was added because some users prefer to have links from .edu domains or .gov domains. You know, you could have .gov.uk if you wanted, for example. All you need to do is enter in the domain that you want to generate links from in that list, and just make sure that each domain is on its own line. So don't, for instance, do comma separated, because it will try and search for domains which are sorry, I can't speak, it will try to search for pages that are on the .edu, .gov domain, which doesn't exist obviously. So if you are wanting to use that, you'd simply put the desired domains in there. Now personally, I find that largely a waste of time, just because the amount of targets you're going to get on .edu, .gov style websites is very low in comparison to the others. So while you might think that it's great to have these supposedly really powerful backlinks, you will be getting far few from them, and I haven't really seen anything to suggest that just getting, you know, a few backlinks here and there from really good websites like that is any better than getting, you know, anywhere up to 1,000 or more, well, thousands over the space of weeks, links. I would always generally go for more decent links than just a few good links. Now, so yeah, I'd leave that as unchecked, but it's there if you want to be using it. You can do if you want. Now, the generic anchor text variations, these are quite complicated. If I don't do a very good job of explaining things, which I often don't, then you can click on what do these settings do, and it will take you through to the support forum, where there's a whole thread on what each control does individually, and if you have any questions specifically about those controls, you can post in that thread there, and I'll answer it as quickly as I can. Okay, so I'll go through the list quickly. If you want to override the settings that you have in the settings tab, you have to check the use profile specific settings option. And then if you want to use any of these, you just select the ones that you do want to use. For example, if you only wanted to vary the anchor text with domain, capitalization and names, you just tick those three. If you leave them all unchecked, then it won't use any of them. So for example, if I wanted to use all of them, I'd tick them all. Now, you can also set the percentage of the time that is to be used. Now bear in mind that these are all cumulative, so if you were to set these all at 20, then 100% of the time No Hands would be using one of these variations. Okay, so there's no point in setting them at 50, for example, because it would never get past I think domain, because capitalization is actually handled slightly differently, but basically you only really want to set these no more than 10 or 15% each, especially if you're using all of them. Okay. Now the vary posting URL by capitalization simply means that No Hands will change the casing, the uppercase or lowercase, of the domain and the HTTP part. Now what this does is it just adds a little bit of variation to the page that you're posting. It won't change the page. It won't change any of the casing on the page, because that would screw up with the Linux web servers and things like that. But what it will do is it will change the casing on the domain and the HTTP. Whether this has any real benefit or not, I'm not entirely sure. It was added because it was requested, and personally I don't really use it because I don't see that it adds a huge amount of anything to things, but it's there. If you want to use it, you can do. Now the ones that I do use very often, pretty much all the time now on my more recent profiles, is I will vary by generics, domain, capitalization and names. Now generics is things such as click here or website or source or read more, next page, things like that. They're generic anchor text which occur sort of as people post in a more natural way. Say for instance you have a fan of your website that's like, oh, I was reading this great article about about blue widgets the other day, it was really insightful, click here, and then they'd make the link, they'd make the words click here the link. Now that happens a lot, so if you don't have any anchor text like that, then you might not get as rewarded as another website which does have a more natural backlink pattern. Now I'm not saying that Google and the likes really reward websites with a lot of generics, but it certainly does help to vary your anchor text a lot more and make things look a whole lot more natural. So it's probably a good idea to have that set at, say, 10 or 15%. Now you can also vary the anchor text with the domain. Now that's the domain that you're posting. So say in this example I'm posting a link to No Hands SEO /blog, or even one of the blog posts. So that, for instance, it will take just the domain and use that. Okay, so it's dead simple. It's just going to take the domain of your page and enter it in as your anchor text. So that's another good way, because that type of link does exist naturally on the internet, so it's probably a good idea to have that set maybe 5 to 10%. With capitalization, that will change the capitalization of the anchor text. So where we have, for example, No Hands SEO is all in lowercase, the variations for that would be to have the first letter of each word, so the N in no, the H in hands, and the S in SEO. It will make them uppercase. It will also vary it by making all of them lowercase, so in cases such as SEO tool, the SEO and the capital T in the tool would all be lowercase, and things like that. So that can be another way of keeping things varied while still targeting your specific anchor text, which, you know, seems pretty good. And you can also vary the anchor text by name. If you're posting, well, on every post there's a random name taken for that post and sent to the posting thread. Now that name can be used as your anchor text. Okay, whether that has a huge benefit, I'm not too sure. It does add a lot of variation. So with Google seeming to, you know, reward websites where there's a lot of variation in the anchor text, that could help, and it really will add a lot of variation, because I forget the exact figure, but I do know there's more than 1,000 different names built in with No Hands SEO, so it could be a really good way of adding a lot of variation to your backlink profile. Now if it was me adding the profile, I wouldn't use that at all. I'd set them up in the settings so I don't have to set them every time in here. But if, for example, you only wanted to use these settings on one profile and not the others, then you could still do it that way. Now the MISC settings, personally, I wouldn't use these at all. That's just a personal preference. I wouldn't use them. I'd let No Hands run through and find relevant keywords to my search keywords to get more relevant backlinks. I'd also allow it to use trending keywords, so that once it's run out of sources to find relevant keywords to my original list, it will then start using trending keywords, which means that No Hands SEO can actually get backlinks pretty much forever. You know, I've got profiles that have been running since I was trying to remember the other day, I think it was either September or October from last year. Now bearing in mind we're coming to the end of July now, and it's still able to generate backlinks for those profiles purely because it can use the trending keywords. Okay, so if you wanted to turn off the trending keywords, you won't, say for example you only wanted No Hands to use your original keyword list and then find keywords relevant to those, and then keywords relevant to those, and so on until it could not find any more relevant keywords, then you'd check the do not use trending keywords, and this will mean that all of the backlinks that you get from No Hands will be really relevant. It should, with the amount of platforms in No Hands now, I mean we're past 50 now, which means there's 70 odd different footprints to search. There should be, you know, no shortage of backlinks, but the backlinking will end eventually. It may, depending on how many search keywords you enter, it could be a couple of weeks from now, it could be a couple of months from now, but it will end eventually. And you can also check only search original keywords, so it will then only search the few keywords that you enter. Now obviously if you have a list of sites that you want to post to, often they're called auto approved lists, then you might want to enter, for example, no search keywords, and check both of those, add your profile, and that will prevent No Hands from doing any searching for that profile. It will simply just wait for you to load in target lists, basically, or AA lists. Now, I wouldn't do that myself. You can get a lot of links very quickly with AA lists, but the problem is unless you've scraped the list yourself with another tool, they're never going to be relevant. They're always going to be heavily spammed, and basically the SEO benefit that you get from those links is going to be very minimal. It may even be nothing. So you're far better off entering your search keywords and allowing No Hands to go off and do its thing, searching for target websites that are relevant to your website, that aren't heavily spammed, that are the lists will be unique to your profiles, rather than using a cookie cutter list that every man and his dog has been using. Okay, so if it was me, I would never ever use them. I understand there are situations where other people would prefer to use them, but for me, I just wouldn't use them. Okay, so that's really it. You've done your whole setup. You've set the website profile, you've entered some search keywords, your anchor text, your page or your pages that you want to promote, you've put in your custom comments, and the link settings. You've got everything set up so that you get in the amount of links you want, the quality, everything. That's all done. Now the only thing left to do is click add profile. But before you do, if you wanted to see what the output comments may look like, you can click show example comment, and you'll see up will pop an example link submission. Now in here you'll see the name or the anchor text that's used, the web page that is being submitted, the email that will be used, and the comment. This is just an example of what will be posted. This is just one example. You can click new example, you'll get a different example, and again and again and again, and you'll see it'll cycle through the pages that you've entered, it'll cycle through the anchor text that you've entered, it will generate a random email address which will help for getting past different sort of spam filters and things like that, and also it will cycle through your different comments. Okay, so we can close that. And now there's nothing left to do but to click add profile. So we'll do that, and you'll see it will pop up the profile in the profile list. And so yep, it's right. It's checked through the I'll click no for now and show you. It's checked through the different settings and tried to advise what would be better. So I'll click on a profile again so we can see what the message says. You'll say, it says there are only 7 search keywords entered for your profile. This is a low amount and it is generally ideal to enter in as many search keywords relating to your niche as possible. Are you sure you want to add the profile regardless? Click yes to add the profile or no to amend the profile before saving. Now as this is an example, I'm only going to leave it as 7 because there's no point in you sitting there watching me type in 10 or more different search keywords, but that's just an example of how No Hands will try to help you as best as possible to really give you an idea of what's best and how to add things in for you. So I'm going to ignore the message for now and click yes. And we can see that it's added our profile, and now all we need to do to promote that is to simply click on the start button. Okay, now that's assuming that you've already gone through the settings and set them up how you want. Excuse me. But yeah, as you can see, No Hands is ripping through the posts, and very shortly after that it will start adding oh, there we go, it's got the first verified link literally within a few seconds, and that will go on, and for the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes they may start to trickle in. After that they'll start to really snowball for another 10 or 15 minutes, mainly because it's going through the who is list, which generally has quite a high acceptance rate. So you can see in the log it's going through, and so yeah, that's all you really need to do. I will be doing further videos this week and hopefully getting more uploaded today, which will go through how to set up comments in more detail, because I realise that that's something that a lot of people haven't done before, is the spinning side of things. And so yeah, if you have any specific requests for videos or written guides, or even any basic questions, come along to the support forum at nohandsseo.com/forum, and you can ask pretty much any question you like about No Hands and how to get the best from it. Say for example you're struggling getting one of the integrated services set up, or anything at all, just get on the forum or email me at support@nohandsseo.com, and I'll always do my best to help out. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks again. Goodbye.